Imagine it's the late 1970s. You walk into a smoky bar or a bowling alley, and there in the corner is something new. Not a jukebox, not a pinball machine, but a glowing cabinet with a single promise: insert coin, play game. In that moment, video games existed not as art, not as mass culture, but as novelty, as a fun distraction. Fast forward to today, and gaming is unrecognizable. This is now a $200 billion industry, eclipsing music and film combined. Politicians campaign in Animal Crossing. Netflix buys the rights to The Witcher and Arcane and turns them into global hits. Millions tune into Twitch streams daily. Grand Theft Auto 6 is set to earn more in its first 24 hours than most Hollywood studios will make in an entire year. So the question is, when did this happen? When did a hobby for kids in dark arcades evolve into the culture? The answer is complicated because gaming didn't go mainstream all at once. It broke through in waves, and each era shattered a barrier. First the arcade craze, then the console wars, the online revolution, and the casual gaming explosion, and finally the era of streaming and celebrity. Each milestone wasn't just bigger, it changed what it meant to be a gamer. The late 1970s and early 80s were gaming's first brush with the mainstream. It started small with Pong, which Atari managed to sneak into bars. It wasn't kids who first fell in love, it was adults, playing casually over drinks. Then came Space Invaders in 1978, a game so popular in Japan that it allegedly caused a shortage of 100 yen coins. In the US, arcades exploded into $1 million business quickly. By 1982, the arcade industry made more money than the entire box office. Pac-Man Fever wasn't just a phrase, it was a real pop single that charted on Billboard, if you can believe that. You know, it's a thing, it actually happened, look it up. Go look it up, go be a historian for a second. Pac-Man toys, Pac-Man cartoons, Pac-Man breakfast cereal, because if the 80s taught us anything, is you can take something you love and put it on literally anything. Personally, I blame Star Wars. But while the money flowed and arcades became a youth subculture, games weren't seen as legitimate. The mainstream dismissed them as novelties, fun but shallow. Parents tolerated them the same way they tolerated MTV. Let's be honest, there was a lot of times when parents didn't tolerate MTV, nor did politicians. It was something kids obsessed over but surely would outgrow. The financial crash of 1983, fueled by oversaturation and poor quality, seemed to prove them right. For a moment, the mainstream believed games was just a fad, like yo-yos. But like yo-yos, they came back. The arcade boom showed one thing clearly. Gaming could be bigger than anyone imagined. It could dominate headlines, it could generate massive profits, and capture cultural attention. This was the first glimpse of gaming as a mainstream entertainment. Arguably, Nintendo saved gaming in 1985 with the NES, but in saving it, they also defined it. The NES was marketed as a toy, complete with a toy robot accessory and strict licensing. It worked. Tens of millions of units sold. Mario became as recognizable as Mickey Mouse, but gaming was still boxed in as something for children. That changed in the 90s. Sega positioned itself as the cooler, older sibling. Genesis does what Nintendo don't. Wasn't just an ad, it was a declaration that games could have edge. Sonic had attitude, Mortal Kombat introduced blood and gore. Suddenly, politicians were paying attention, leading to congressional hearings on video game violence. But paradoxically, that controversy only made games feel more culturally relevant. Then came Sony's PlayStation in 1994. Sony didn't just sell a console, they sold a lifestyle. Advertisements were edgy, cryptic, and designed for teenagers and 20-somethings. They partnered with MTV, sponsored club nights, and marketed the PlayStation as cool in the way a Walkman was cool. I know there's a load of you listening to this right now going, what is a Walkman? I'm not going to tell you, look it up. And crucially, the games matched the pitch. Resident Evil, Metal Gear Solid, Final Fantasy VII. These weren't children's distractions, they were cinematic experiences designed for young adults. By the end of the 90s, the stigma of gaming as kid stuff was cracked. Gaming wasn't fully mainstream yet, but it was undeniably a cultural force, shaping music, film, and even politics. If the 90s rebranded games, the 2000s made them social. Broadband internet and online multiplayer transformed the medium from a solo pastime into a global community. Halo 2 on Xbox Live in 2004 was the lightning bolt moment. Suddenly you weren't just playing against AI or a sibling on the couch, you were competing with strangers worldwide. You could hear their voices, rage at their taunts, build rivalries, friendships, clans, or just troll the ever-loving shit out of each other. It was revolutionary. At the same time, World of Warcraft was weaving a different kind of social fabric. Millions of players weren't just playing together, they were living together in a digital world. Guilds became real communities where people got married, made lifelong friends, even organized funerals inside the game. This era also saw esports begin to sprout. Counter-Strike tournaments, StarCraft in Korea, the early seeds of what would later become stadium-filling events. For the first time, gaming wasn't just a pastime, it was a place, a digital space you inhabited, where culture and community thrived. It was impossible to dismiss gaming as niche when millions were spending entire lives online. By the way, you shouldn't do that. Please don't do that. Don't become so obsessed with any kind of gaming that you lose track of real life. Like thing on the screen right now, like touch grass, reminder, touch grass. Anyway, then came the moment that arguably made gaming truly mainstream. And some of you may disagree with me on this. The Wii. In 2006, Nintendo pivoted hard. Instead of competing on graphics, they built an experience for everyone, the whole family. Motion controls, intuitive design, Wii Sports. Within weeks, living rooms became bowling alleys, tennis courts, and fitness centers. Grandparents played with grandchildren. Families held tournaments. The Wii sold over 100 million units worldwide. In parallel, the Nintendo DS exploded. Brain Age, Nintendogs, Professor Layton, games that appealed to people who had never touched a console. And soon after, smartphones extended this even further. Angry Birds, Candy Crush, Pokemon Go. Gaming wasn't something you bought into, it was something in your pocket. This wasn't just a new demographic, it was literally everyone. For the first time, you couldn't draw a clear line between gamers and non-gamers, because everyone was playing. And if the Wii brought everyone in, streaming made sure that nobody could ignore it. The 2010s marked gaming's transformation from pastime into spectacle. Twitch and YouTube turned games into content, birthing a generation of gaming celebrities, PewDiePie, Ninja, Pokimane, names that became bigger than many Hollywood actors. Games like Minecraft and Fortnite didn't just succeed because of gameplay, they succeeded because they were endlessly watchable, memeable, and social. Fortnite in particular blurred the line between game and cultural platform. Concerts with Travis Scott and Ariana Grande, Marvel crossovers, in-game movie screenings. It wasn't a game, it was a digital cultural hub. Esports exploded. League of Legends World Championships filled stadiums, broadcast to tens of millions. Dota's International handed out prize pools larger than Wimbledon. By the mid-2010s, the mainstream wasn't just tolerating games, it was following them. Gaming was now culture. And now we arrive at the present. In 2025, the question isn't when will games go mainstream, it's what's left outside of gaming. The Last of Us HBO series proves that games can be prestige television if we completely ignore Season 2. Can we all agree Season 2 is awful? We can? Brilliant. We can move on then. Arcane wins Emmys. Politicians hold rallies in Animal Crossing. The largest entertainment launch in history will not be a film or an album, it will be Grand Theft Auto 6. Games are no longer competing for cultural legitimacy. They are the culture. They shape language, memes, online spaces, social gatherings, and billion-dollar industries. So when did gaming become mainstream? Was it Pac-Man in the 80s? The PlayStation in the 90s? The Wii in 2006? Fortnite in 2018? The truth is, gaming went mainstream not once, but multiple times. And each breakthrough shattered an old existing barrier and redefined who could play, who belonged, and what counted as culture. Today, the better question isn't when did gaming become mainstream? It's what comes after mainstream. When everybody already plays, when gaming already dominates culture, what's the next frontier? And as always, if you've enjoyed that insightful look into the gaming world and its ability to be mainstream, like and subscribe, you know you want to. And as always, I've been Devoured Games. And until next time, something, something, something.